and welcome to an episode of Ignite Connections. We're here at Goa Fest and today we're joined with Anisha and Amarjit. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so the idea here is we get people who work in similar fields from different generations and we try to find what the connections and differences are, right? Because often people don't get access to cross-generational kind of dialogues in their day-to-day. So that's what we're hoping to get out of today. Consider this less kind of a corporate discussion, more an open conversation. While I'll be kind of mediating the talk, I'd also like for the two of you to kind of connect and get to know each other as well. So just to start off with, right, Amarjit, I had a few questions for you. So Spotify, I mean, no doubt has reshaped how Indians and people all over the world consume and discover audio content, right? So from your vantage point, what is a shift in consumer behavior or listening behavior that brands or creators haven't thought of yet?
So one of the biggest shifts that we have seen in from the consumer side is that, or listener side, is that people have kind of a wanting to self-express. So everybody has become a creator. So even people who are listeners, they also kind of in their mind, they want to express themselves. And I think they do it by creating, for example, on Spotify, one of the biggest things at Spotify is people create their own playlist. And that's actually the backbone of, about 8 billion playlists around the world, which I think sometimes I actually search for some of the good user playlists and I like them. So that's the behavior which has gone next step to a stage where people now listen to music and they want to collaborate with other people. So we have features like collaborative playlist. We have features like blend, where two friends or two partners can kind of blend their music together. You can jam together on music. So this behavior of sharing with others what you like, expressing themselves, I think is a huge trait that is there in the consumers of today, especially the young Gen Z consumers, which I think many brands have yet to tap into in a big way.
Yeah. Speaking of which as well, like Spotify is such a great company to see the kind of relationships you have with creators. And I've personally seen this, right? The kind of events you host, the kind of events you invite creators to, even down to something like a lot of the native ads in Spotify are highlighting the creators themselves, which is kind of interesting to see across different platforms. So I just want to understand, for you as someone who's at the top, like what's something that you have learned through your relationship with creators in Spotify?
So first of all, for us, creators is this whole music industry is because of creators. So that's a starting point. So at Spotify, when we look at our business, we look at both sides of it equally, and we obviously people know more about the listeners because that's the audience which consumes, but it's the artists and the creators who do the hard work. And what Spotify has been doing, and we have now been 6.5 years in India, 19 years around the world. And we spend a lot of time, helping creators. And we do it in different ways. We have tools, like for example, we have Spotify for Artists, where any artist on Spotify who has their songs on Spotify can actually know who is listening to their music, where are they listening to, and what other things they listen to, and they know more about them. So that insight about data analytics, which they can get about their own music, can really help them in shaping what next steps they can do to create more music, and even sometimes to kind of hold live events in places where their fans are, which the Spotify for Artist app can help us. But on the other side of it, we actually go down and do a lot of work on the ground. So we work with all types of artists, whether they are big stars and they're releasing albums, we work with them closely. So if Badshah is releasing a new album or any other artist, King is releasing a new album, we actually sometimes work with them and help them with the promotion of the album. But what we really do deep work, grassroots work, is to go with young artists. And we have programs like Radar India, where we are looking at artists who are just coming up, now breaking into different countries, regions, and promoting them through this program, helping them succeed. We have programs like Fresh Find. Fresh Find is artists who have not yet fully broken out. They're just kind of getting successful. How do you kind of make them, come in more focus? We run that kind of a program. We do master classes for artists who want to start kind of releasing music or want to learn about how to go about building their career in music, we do those kind of things also. So in a way, for us, that's a deep work that we do. And today, that work is paying off in a big way, because when we do this work, our objective is selflessly go out there, help them succeed. What we are seeing as an outcome of them is that many of them have now started doing very well on our platform in India and abroad. And they also now treating Spotify success, Spotify streams as a currency for their success, which is a big win for us, because now any artist who wants to succeed, they believe that if they can do a good job with Spotify, then their success is assured. That gives us a motivation to go and kick this flywheel even further and invest behind artist development even more. So that's the kind of a work we do. And of course, we go do into different genres. Like, for example, we are bringing iPop story in this country. There was no iPop in this country. We used to talk about K-pop and all this. And now we have kind of said, okay, why, if Korea can have K-pop, and if Japan can have J-pop, and Latin have Latin pop, and so why can't we have our own iPop? And iPop in India used to be Bollywood or film music. We said no, iPop should be artist upfront. And that is the last few years we've been working. And this year, we have seen that literally everybody's talking about iPop now. Artists are talking about iPop. Even the government, we have been speaking to them. They are interested in iPop. Labels are interested in iPop. So everybody as an industry now, we are coming together to see how artists can come up and succeed. And that, I think, is the beginning of a very interesting inflection curve, for the industry. And then we have art, genres like hip hop, where we have a playlist called Rap 91. We have Punjabi, which is a big success, in India and globally out there. So we do work vertically across these segments with artists at different levels. And we also promote artists globally. Like in US, we have Times Square. In New York, we have, I think, 15, 20 artists have been put on the Times Square out there, which is a big win for a lot of them. And in Toronto and UK and so on, it's happening a lot. We even go up to like FCB Barcelona, where we have artists from India go out there and perform there, and has his own promotion
so
there.
On both ends, it's like understanding what like artists and creators need to get successful, and then just giving them the tools and empowering them as much as possible. Totally. So I wanted to get into the intricacies of your work life, right? Beyond the broader things you do with your company. So maybe we can start with you, Anisha. Like, how would you explain to a 5-year-old what your day-to-day looks like?
5-year-old, yeah. So first let me just explain to you what I do, right? At Aditya Birla Capital, I take care of content, social and digital. So if I have to explain it to a 5-year-old, I would say that I will try to talk about the ABCDs of money. So how you need to spend your money, how you need to save your money, if you can invest it so that you make more in the future. That's the kind of content I build for the brand. And I hope a 5-year-old understands this. So yes, and interestingly, ABCD is an app that we have at ABC. Right, so where we do try to break down the complexities around the category of money, because it's so highly regulated. It is extremely regulated. In fact, whether it's loans, insurance, investments, everything is super regulated. Sounds very serious. You have all the banks and the BFSIs and NBFCs really talking about really serious conversations about money, right? But we try to make it really simple, and that's the one thing that we talk about day in, day out, even at our company, that how do you make it so simple that even a 10-year-old can understand it, even a kid in school truly understands it, right? That's something that's not really taught in our schools, and it's really important to know about these things. So we try to solve those kinds of questions.
How would you explain your job?
Mine is probably more easier, because I just tell I'm listening to music while working. That's my job. I'm meeting the artist, that singer that song that you like, or the app that plays that you're listening to. I know the person who made it. So I think it may be a little bit easier. This is a tough one.
That's a really cool job to have.
Yeah, actually, that happened with me actually when Spotify approached me for this role some time back. I think I asked my kids and I said, wow, should I kind of consider? Obviously, I heard about Spotify. I was previously building another brand. So they said, Dad, you have to take this up. Now our friends respect you right now because you're doing a good job, but they'll worship you after you join Spotify. I said, that's a good place to be. But anyway, jokes aside, I think it's like, I really feel it's such a cool place to be, where you are in the thick of understanding and meeting artists and understanding this space of music, content, creators, and appreciating the hard work that goes behind that, and being a catalyst in the success of all these artists and creators. I think it's a blessing to do that, and I think in the other side of it, it's also a blessing to see so much so much happiness a listener gets from music. I think it's if you look at the work that people go through today in terms of what we call the doom scrolling. Yeah. So I think Spotify is a perfect antidote to doom scrolling. In fact, we did a Culture Next report. I think it came 82% of the people felt that Spotify is the best way to kind of avoid going into this doom scrolling habit. And we also have, we feel that it's called the nutritious calories. You have empty calories and you have nutritious calories. Spotify is something that gives so much to you that it's nutritious for you.
Yeah.
So after you spend time on a Spotify versus, let's say, on any other places like social media or so, after that you're much more happier because you feel that. I think is something that we are excited about, and I think the second part is for everybody. The first part was the 5-year-old.
Yeah. No, I mean, just on that tangent, right? Like, I totally agree. Like, I made a video recently where I was talking about how the antidote to doom scrolling, or just wanting to kind of satisfy your attention span, shouldn't just be short form content. And I suggested podcasts because I've been like a podcast listener from like 2012, 2013 when it was just American podcasts.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's so interesting to see in the last couple of years how Spotify India has really almost given this platform and this space for Indian podcasters and creators to build, that it's just totally changed consumption habits. Like, I can't imagine a single day I go through or my friends go through without opening Spotify either for music or for podcasts. So I 100% agree with that nutritious calorie and kind of your media diet, right?
Yeah, this will be music for the ears of my podcast team, because they are the rock stars behind all the great work that has happened in India. I think it's like a lot of tough, work to create a wave when, there are a lot of Indian creators, but not everybody was a podcaster.
Yeah.
And I think the pains that the teams have gone through, and I think a special mention to, them, they are the ones who went out there and spent time. And coming back to your earlier question, how do you spend time with artists? This is the kind of a work, I think, where we run podcast programs, we have done creator programs, we have bet on artists, creators, we have, got them to connect with somebody who can get it done. So I think all kinds of things that we are doing, and we're very proud that there could be great podcasts around the world, and Indians can listen to podcasts around the world because it's in English. A lot of us know English. But I think we have taken pains to go down to create Tamil podcast or some other language podcast, because we believe that in our country, the heritage is so deep. I think we need to promote our own culture, promote our own content, just the way we have music. And it's a hard job. The easier job is to promote the international content, which is easy for us. But we don't do that alone. We focus on this, and I think whatever you're saying about that would be the team would be really happy to hear that.
Yeah, as a consumer, I'm so happy to see it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Same.
Yeah.
I love listening to podcasts, since when my commute is only podcasts.
Yes, it's such a great it's such a great format. I think, first of all, the more you feel you are part of that conversation.
Yes.
Because there are two people talking now in this case. Maybe there's somebody who's now listening to three of us and feel that that the person feel that they pulled a chair and sitting next to us. They may not be asking us questions, but they will feel part of the conversation.
It's more intimate.
I think it's such intimate. It's such intimate.
More intimate than watching a video.
Absolutely.
On another platform.
And then it's such a relaxed a format where you talk so deep about yourself, and you'll find the best of podcast leaders around the world or best experts around the world, and you will find them so vulnerable, sharing such deep insights which they will may not share in a keynote speech or a interview or something, but on podcasts they share their learnings, their failures. It's so much good to learn that. So I think my feeling is that now, like we're talking about, it's probably the most authentic platform. Podcast is the most authentic platform for interactions, learning. Absolutely.
So I want to open it up to the two of you now, right? I'd like for the two of you to just kind of exchange with each other, what the working culture is like across generations. I feel like we'll find more similarity than differences, of course, at the end of it. But, it's just good to ask these questions as well.
So, what is the one thing you wish someone told you when you were starting off in your career?
I think if somebody had told me that leadership can be learned and anybody can become a leader, and all you have to do is just do things which a leader should do, that would have really helped me. So in a journey of reaching where I am today, there were a lot of struggles of failures. Of course, they are good. All those are good things. But having that clarity and having that inspiration that anybody can become a leader, which I think today I tell to everyone. I feel anybody I interact with, all my team, all the youngsters I meet, I just tell them, anybody can be a leader. For me, you are a leader. And I think if that somebody can be told, I think it's just, powerful. And it's true. I don't think there are any born leaders. Anybody can be a leader. So let me ask you now a question. So what is a mistake that you made early on that taught you something really big?
So I think I overcomplicated career, professional life and everything in my mind very early on. So I thought that I will not be able to be a certain thing if I did not get my academics in place, right? Like passing out of the best colleges or getting the best grades or just taking up as many subjects as I can possibly to just like fill it in my mind and then kind of go out into my job. And that is the thing that I overcomplicated in my mind, and I feel that was my biggest mistake. I feel that a lot of the things, almost 80 to 90% of the things that I do today or I see myself doing in the future, I have learned it on the job because it's real life, right? It's a real life experience. You learn things, you unlearn, and that thing really, really helped me, be what I am today, where I am today. So I will not say that I don't make mistakes. Of course, everyone does make mistakes, and I think you just learn from it. So yeah, I think just overcomplicating the whole academic side of things and just putting that much pressure on myself was really, really wrong on my part. I don't think that.
And sometimes we don't even, use some of the things that we read.
Most of the things. I studied home science out of a college in Churchgate, and I don't do anything, but there were a few things that I learned out of it, and which I later applied into my postgrad and stuff like that.
That's absolutely true. I think learning by doing, the most powerful.
Yes.
The most powerful. Yeah. So such a good learning.
So I would like to understand that you've spoken so much about Gen Zs, and there's a different way of functioning among Gen Zs, right? So what is the one thing that you learn from them, or one mindset that you really like about them that you would want to adopt?
I think their openness to kind of to think in terms of more diversity, to think about sustainability. Like, for example, Gen Zs are today the front runners on thinking about even thrift shopping and so on, because where there was in India there was a stigma on buying stuff which is second hand. I mean, I worked previously, I built Olex, and I think that Gen Z is changing that. I think in my mind, I think that's a very powerful piece, because they are going down to very deep at a very young age. They are actually behaving as very mature leaders or mature thought thinkers, where they are thinking for the climate, or they're thinking for sustainability, or they're thinking for the diversity and inclusion of everyone, and thinking for authentic or looking for that. I think that's a great thing to hold on to and maybe learn from them, and everybody should kind of think around that and be part of that, journey. Yeah.
Since we're on the topic, I want to ask you, like, do you think Gen Z is difficult to work with? It's something that's kind of like, that buzzword headline that we see, like Gen Z is the hardest generation to work with, but what would you say?
Personally, I love Gen Zs, because I have kids who are Gen Zs. So they're different, and you need to understand how they are. That's why whenever I get a chance, I play sports and I make sure that I play with youngsters, and I really enjoy it because there is so much of learning when you socially interact with them also. In my job, I think obviously we work with creators, artists, we meet a lot of youngsters. In my teams also, we have young. I personally don't think they're difficult to work. They're more demanding, or they have their viewpoints, and they will probably say it on your face sometimes. I think that is great. I like to be talked open. I like openness. I like candidness, and I feel that there is too much of power distance in places like India and Asia.
Yeah.
And I think the more power distance we have, the more we are actually not letting the people question things. And I believe that the more we question, the more there's a chances of good thoughts or diverse thoughts. The more there are chances of diverse thoughts, then the more chances are of new ideas or innovations that can happen. So my feeling is that the Gen Z thought process of being this thing could be, I'm actually sometimes feeling that they should ask more questions, and they should be probably speak their mind out a bit more. But I think we are not built in a structure. So at Spotify, we encourage openness, and I'm not saying we are best or something, but we have seen that across the world, we are one of those places where a lot of Gen Zs want to work for Spotify because, of course, we are in the industry also, which is very cool, and one of the coolest brand as such, or a product which is vibe is amazing. But I think they also, as a work culture, I think we have built a pretty good open culture. Our CEO and founder Daniel has been a symbol of humility. I mean, if you look at him, but a symbol of also somebody who is constantly kind of pushing himself to think next level, and believes in a very interesting equal opportunity kind of a thought process, which I think is great. Anybody can succeed. So at Spotify, the best thing what Gen Zs can do is, I mean, at a young age, can they succeed more than anybody else? Why do you need to go through a curve to become, this thing? So at some point in time, I believe that acceleration will happen. And I think Gen Zs need to bet on themselves. They may need to work harder sometimes because in the end, I mean, hard work there's no substitute for that.
Yeah.
There's no substitute for hard work.
Yeah. I think similar to what you said, right? Like learning through your work experience rather than in school. I think that culture in Indian schools is also to question less, to follow orders more. So this is just such a great example of like getting to enter the system and having the openness and almost permission. Like it's permissionless to be able to ask people and learn from each other no matter what generations we come from.
Yeah.
So that's great to hear.
How do you stay motivated when the work gets repetitive or gets into the uncertain space?
So, as I said, the category that my company is in, right, is finance. It can get a little mundane after a certain point, and you can feel that you're just overburdened with all the regulations, the compliance, and the legalities of it. So, what we try to do is we try to find a little bit of an outlet. So, we do some cool things like we have a podcast. A podcast is a little cooler. So we find those kinds of outlets. I personally like working on those projects then because it kind of breaks the repetitive nature of work of creating content or a calendar, or just talk about this product, talk about that product, this is the offer, this is the interest rate that our loans are available at. It kind of breaks the mundane nature of work that way. So podcast is a great outlet, and I personally love working on that. And we've created a podcast for the brand, and we interview CEOs and MDs from across our businesses at Aditya Birla Capital. The other thing we like to do is create really interesting pieces of content which is not exactly related to a category but kind of touches upon it in a subtle way. So the most recent campaign that we did, if you watch the ad, you won't even know it is an Aditya Birla Capital ad. We didn't place the logo purposely. We didn't want to reveal that. It kind of comes in towards the end, just kind of hits you that, okay, so you're talking about money, right? It was on Mother's Day, and it was talking about how a lot of women today are putting motherhood on hold. So that is not something that you would otherwise think about in your daily life or when things are, just business as usual kind of stuff, right? So these little projects kind of break the mundane nature of the work otherwise, and that's how I feel motivated to kind of, I'm now looking forward to the next campaign that we will do, because we want to kind of break the stereotypical finance ads and talk about larger issues, and then connect money in a certain way, in a more subtle way, right? And those are more stronger narratives to kind of carry. So yeah, that's how I would
That's great.
make it more interesting for me to
Yeah.
review
Projects
that.
themselves just keep
Yes,
you
yes,
fresh.
yes.
Yeah.
And we want to keep it fresh that way. It's you see all the other ads that banks are doing. It's the same. It's the same kind of stuff that you repeatedly see. You'll see a celebrity talking about some product. You'll see a family, a slice of life moment or something like that. But you want to do something different, a little hatke.
Yeah.
So that's attractive to all generations, and it's not just looking at one section of the audience. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing because a lot of times people say, I'm getting bored, too much repetitive, monotonous stuff. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to change my job. I'm going to do something else. And I think that my feeling is that a lot of times people don't realize that sometimes monotony is, monotony or, continuous work around something is the secret of larger success ahead, because that's how things compound.
Yeah.
And shifting very early just because it was not that interesting. So find a way to kind of, I think you love the way you're doing it, find a way to make things interesting, get more energy in, get more enthusiasm in. And I think, I think on maximum take a break for some time, do something
In fact,
fun.
I've worked in typical boring categories
Yeah.
before as well. I was working for a company which was manufacturing inverter batteries and solar components. I mean, that's boring as well, right? Like, for anyone to think you're talking about inverters and batteries, what are you doing there? Why are you working there? What's so interesting about it?
Yeah.
But even there, I found something really cool. I found there was this really interesting study that was done for solar, and I thought, let's make a really fun campaign out of it. Let's make it quirky, and we did quirky.
That's the part. I think that's where you're coming. Where you're actually highlighting a very interesting point, that many times, we all feel that, why are we stuck in this boring stuff?
Yeah.
No, I can't say that. I feel I'm in the coolest place. But I think sometimes, we say, if I can get a more interesting thing, I will be more happier, or I'll do some great stuff.
Yeah.
But I think people don't realize that there's a very interesting, saying that I remember many years back. Somebody came and said that, whatever job is given to you, or whatever you have right now, if you can't show enthusiasm for that, there's no guarantee that the future, if you get something great, you will show enthusiasm for that. So if your job is to tighten this nut every day, then you should be the best in the world in tightening that nut. That should be your way. Because the more you show that kind of attitude, the more chances are you will grow to do something else and not stuck at doing the same thing. Whereas I think people get very bored. I think this is one of the things which I think we all suffer, and it's, I think, beyond generation. I think we all have this problem that we sometimes regret that we changed just because we were feeling bored or something. And I think we look back on those days, but that was a great thing to do. Why did I change that? Everybody has that tinge of regret sometimes looking back. Why did I shift from that role or the job that I was doing? And then you will find people who have, I mean, I met somebody here, Shashi, I think he spent 38 years in the same, first job. And he spent, which he joined, and 38 years in the same company. So that I think is a great example of somebody you can aspire to, that who went in out there and joined a company, but went into different directions, tried to kind of, if feeling, get more energy from new things, but stayed on to the same company and same business and same kind of industry, and still thriving. 38 years. I mean, inspiring story actually. Yeah, you should meet up with him. You should catch him for a podcast.
Shows like how much agency you have even throughout your work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us, for this podcast. We have the rest of Goa Fest 2025 ahead of us, and just one parting question, right? What would you like to get out of Goa Fest in the next few days? Would it be an idea, a meaningful connection, or just a burst of inspiration from your normal day-to-day?
First,
I think I'm most excited about meeting different people, right? Like I'm getting to meet the two of you. There's just like great ideas being exchanged, or great thoughts, experiences as well, right? So this is what I'm looking forward to the most. Yes, the sessions are great and there's a lot of activities happening here as well, but I'm most excited about meeting different kinds of people and understanding from them how they work, how they function, what makes them tick. So that's what's most exciting to me.
I haven't been to Goa Fest for a long time, so for me this is like just enjoying the 1 or 2 days I'm here, learn from others, and hopefully kind of meet some new people that I've not connected with. But I have a lot of friends that I really met in a few hours I've been here, so I'm looking forward to spending some time with them. Yeah.
So we hope you enjoy the next 2 days, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks and thank you. Nice.